This is your station. This is TV. 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 TV.
TV, the heart of the matter.
Hello and welcome to the Midday News on .tv. I am Ife Arono. Starting here in Delta State, determined to tackle insecurity and make Delta State safer for residents, the Delta State government on Wednesday convened a high-powered security summit aimed at charting a new course for effective security management in the state. The maiden edition of the Delta State Security Summit was held at Government House, Asaba. Priscilla Ifani was there and now reports.
Security remains a concerns problem in Nigeria, and Governor Sheriff Oborevwori is taking proactive steps to tackle it. As stakeholders, security personnel and agencies are gathered here at Unity Hall, Asaba, for the Delta State Security Summit to deliberate on ways to enhance peace and public safety in the state. In a time when security continues to challenge many parts of Nigeria, stakeholders comprising of security personnel, traditional rulers, religious leaders, president generals, civil society organizations, and other key actors converged at Government House Asaba for the maiden edition of the Delta State Security Summit, themed Security, a Collective Responsibility, provided a platform for participants to deliberate on strategies for strengthening security and sustaining peace across the state. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, who declared the summit open, said the gathering was conveyed to identify gaps in the state's securities architecture and develop practical solutions to emerging security challenges. He highlighted the establishment of divisional police headquarters across the state and the launch of Operation Delta Sweep as part of efforts to strengthen the fight against crime.
In Delta State, we recognize that development can only flourish in a secure environment. Consequently, our administration has continued to strengthen the state security architecture through collaboration with security agencies, traditional institutions, community leaders, and other stakeholders. We recently restructured and strengthened Operation Delta Sweep, our joint security outfit. The outfit has recorded significant successes in tackling crime and criminalities across the state.
In his presentation, the Delta State Commissioner of Police outlined the command's security achievements and stressed the need for stronger collaboration with civil society organizations to build public trust and enhance public awareness.
The Delta State Police Command, in collaboration with sister security agencies, has continued to record operational successes through intelligence-led policing strategies, development and public cooperation. However, lasting security can only be achieved when all stakeholders take ownership and perform their roles.
Guest Speaker Air Vice Marshal Edward Gabwet urged citizens to move from being mere spectators to active stakeholders in Nigerian security architecture through intelligence gathering and information sharing. He identified kidnapping, cultism, drug abuse, and cybercrime as major threats to peace and security, stressing that they require collective action to combat.
Now, understanding the contemporary security environment, therefore, provides the foundation for effective security participation. It enables citizens to appreciate the nature of the threats around them, recognize early warning signs, and contribute meaningfully to efforts aimed at preventing insecurity.
Traditional rulers and stakeholders called for closer synergy between communities and security agencies. They described the summit as timely and commended the state government's proactive approach while advocating for sustained collaboration to ensure lasting peace and security across Delta State.
Community police, we also consider that very, very important. I believe it becomes imperative that we must embrace community policing to a very large extent. Consequently, in Asaba, we set up a community police stroke community relationship committee.
The governor wants to take it a notch higher, that want to go beyond just the issue of providing the necessary gadgets, the necessary facility that the security agencies need, to now building trust between the security agencies and our different leaders in our communities.
The expectation now is the resolution from this summit will lead to practical steps in strengthening security and safeguarding lives and properties in the Delta State. Reporting from the Government House, Priscilla Ifani, .tv News.
Meanwhile, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oberewori has taken fresh steps to restore and improve electricity supply in parts of Isoko and Ndokwa land, with the commencement of procurement processes for the rehabilitation and expansion of critical power infrastructure across the affected communities. The move followed the issuance of an invitation to tender by the Delta State Ministry of Energy for the execution of key electricity projects aimed at addressing years of power challenges caused by inadequate infrastructure and vandalism. According to the tender notice signed by the Secretary of the Ministerial Tenders Board, T.O. Bayoko, one of the major projects involves the construction of a 33 kV overhead high voltage line from Emevo through Otowe to Isoko roundabout, as well as the rehabilitation of vandalized sections of the existing 33 kV line between Iede and Elu in Isoko North local government area. In another intervention, the state government plans to rehabilitate and reconstruct the vandalized 33 kV power line stretching from Abi through Emu Bodeti to the Kwale 7.5 MVA injection station in Ndokwa West local government area. Staying in Delta, the people of Obanam, particularly residents of Obodobwa quarters in Oshimili North local government area, have strongly distanced themselves from a viral social media video showing a young man who was reportedly intercepted by the officers of the Delta State Police Command in possession of a firearm. According to reports circulating online, the suspect allegedly claimed during interrogation that he used the gun to collect what he described as a development fee, commonly referred to as deve, from clients who purchased land in the area. However, community leaders and concerned residents of Obanam rejected the claims, insisting the suspect's alleged actions were carried out in a personal capacity and do not reflect the values or practices of the community. You would recall that Delta State Governor Sheriff Oberewori had since 2024 announced strict enforcement of the state on the illegal collection of development levies, popularly known as DEVE, under the Public and Private Properties Protection Law, forcing developers, contractors, or private individuals to pay unauthorized construction fees or community levies is a criminal offense. We move now from security to politics. The Delta State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has resolved to establish a reconciliation committee to address grievances arising from the party's recent primary elections in the state. The State Publicity Secretary, Valentine Onojego, disclosed this during a press briefing held at the party's secretariat along Obanam Road, Asaba. The report.
According to Onojego, the State Working Committee reviewed the activities and outcomes of the party primaries following a report presented by the party's senatorial chairman, Daniel Osar. He explained that the committee decided to establish the reconciliation panel to foster unity within the party and address concerns raised by members during the primary election process.
The first state working committee meeting after the party primaries. And in the meeting, we took stock of the activities of the primaries and how it was done in the senatorial districts of the party. We took the report from the senatorial chairman. We have before me Chief Dan Osai, who is the senatorial chairman for Delta North. He gave his report, himself and his colleagues. They gave us their reports. And at the end of our meeting today, we agreed that we are going to move forward with a lot of activities for the party.
Onojego further announced that the party's senatorial districts would hold meetings every 2 weeks, a structure that would also be replicated at the local government level. The meetings, he said, are aimed at reviewing party activities and addressing challenges confronting the APC across the state.
We also look into the issues arising from the primaries and grievances. Also, the need to set up reconciliation committees to address grievances that must have risen from the conduct of the primaries in the state.
The APC spokesperson commended Delta State Governor Sheriff Oboriwori for what he described as exemplary leadership in resolving issues affecting the Warri federal constituencies and the various ethnic nationalities in the area. He also disclosed that fresh party primary elections will be conducted in constituencies reinstated by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. According to him, the affected constituencies comprise 2 each from Delta North, Delta Central, and Delta South senatorial districts. Responding to questions on the outcome of the previous party primaries, Onojego stated that any decision regarding the results will be made by the party's National Working Committee in Abuja.
Those who came to do the primaries, they've also reported to the national leadership that sent them.
Emeka Okonkwo, reporting for .TV.
Still talking politics, the National Secretary of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, Ikenna Anihwizu, has defended the party's introduction of a note of loyalty for party members, saying the move will limit defections. As you may already know, the NDC, which unveiled the move earlier this week, cited the need to protect the party's institutional integrity by ensuring those elected under its platform stay loyal until their tenure ends. According to the national chairman of the NDC, Moses Cleopas, the decision was informed by the defection of the elected politicians from the platforms on which they won their polls. He said these defections have weakened many parties. Sharing a similar sentiment, Anihwizu explained that many lawmakers elected under the Labour Party in the 2023 election left that platform. Similarly, Vice Presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has described the party's newly introduced signed affidavit against defection as a welcome development that reinforces constitutional provisions on party supremacy. Speaking through the Kwansiya spokesperson, Habibul Mohammed, Kwankwaso said the initiative was in line with the Nigerian constitution, which frowns at politicians abandoning the platforms that brought them to power. He recalled that the Kwankwasiya movement had suffered setbacks in the past when key figures defected, including a sitting governor and former deputy leader of the movement, Abdullahi Ganduje. Still ahead on the midday news. UK court clears Alison Madueke of bribery charges. Plus, foreign and sports stories coming up after this timeout. Please stay with us.
In the heart of Asaba, where the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. .TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them. Thanks for staying with us. Now the rest of our stories. Nigeria's former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Madueke, has been cleared of all bribery charges brought against her by British prosecutors. This was after a jury at Southwark Crown Court in London yesterday returned not guilty verdicts on 6 counts, including 5 charges on accepting bribes and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery. The trial was brought against her by the UK's National Crime Agency, which targets serious organised and international crime, after years-long investigation concerning alleged offences between 2011 and 2015. She had been accused of accepting financial or other advantages from individuals linked to 2 energy companies that had secured contracts with Nigeria's state-owned Petroleum Corporation when she was the country's oil minister. Alison Madueke had also been accused by prosecutors of enjoying a life of luxury funded by those interested in the lucrative oil and gas contracts. She has been on bail in Britain since she was first arrested in October 2015. And back home in Nigeria, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has struck out another attempt by the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, to overturn a federal high court judgment barring it from imposing fines on radio and television stations. In a unanimous ruling delivered on Wednesday, the appellate court dismissed the NBC's appeal, declaring its notice of appeal fundamentally defective and legally incompetent. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Jane Inyang identified a critical discrepancy in the identity of the parties involved, saying the inconsistency constituted a fundamental defect that deprived the court of jurisdiction to hear the appeal. The appeal stemmed from a January 17, 2024 judgment by Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia, who ruled that the NBC acted unlawfully and unconstitutionally when it imposed 5 million naira fines on MultiChoice Nigeria Limited, DSTV, Telecom Satellite Limited, TSTV, Trust TV Network Limited, and NTA StarTimes Limited in August 2022. The sanctions were imposed after the broadcasters aired documentaries highlighting banditry and insecurity in Zamfara State, which the NBC claimed undermined national security. Meanwhile, the 17th prosecution witness in the ongoing alleged money laundering case filed against the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, and 2 others, has maintained that the former governor was not involved in any of the property transactions before the court. The witness, Shehu Bala, told the court while being cross-examined by the defendant's counsel, Paul Daudu, that the second defendant also did not participate in any of the transactions. He noted that one Farouk Bello served as the agent. On cross-examination, he, however, noted that he was aware that the title documents, deed of assignment and power of attorney were returned to Efab Estate by Farouk Bello. And now to other stories. The minority caucus of the House of Representatives yesterday called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to either refocus governance on tackling national security challenges and economic hardship or step aside, warning that Nigeria is facing what it described as deepening insecurity, judicial controversy, and democratic backsliding ahead of the 2027 elections. The lawmakers also called on the president to suspend political activities for his re-election and squarely address the rising security challenges and economic problems facing the country. Minority Leader of the House, Fred Abedi, made a call during a press conference by opposition lawmakers at the National Assembly, Abuja, where they accused the administration of prioritizing politics over urgent national challenges. Moving now to the foreign scene, the presidents of the US and Iran have signed an initial peace deal aiming to end the war, allowing it to immediately take effect. The agreement includes reopening the Strait of Hormuz, a $300 billion plan for Iran's reconstruction, and the U.S. terminating all types of sanctions on Iran. But the issue of Iran's nuclear program, the main reason stated by the U.S. for the conflict, is still to be negotiated over an extended 60-day period. U.S. President Donald Trump, who signed the deal in France during the G7 summit, defended the proposal, saying it would stave off an economic catastrophe. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian also signed the document on Wednesday, Tehran confirmed. Meanwhile, oil prices stumbled again on Thursday after U.S. President Donald Trump and his Iranian counterpart signed off on a deal to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The news boosted optimism for a lasting peace between the two nations after more than 3 months of war that has rattled energy markets and fueled a fresh spike in inflation. However, the upbeat mood on trading floors was tempered by expectations that the Federal Reserve will hike interest rates before the year's end after its new boss held his first policy meeting and acknowledged persistently high prices are a burden for the American people. Elsewhere, residents are reporting that gunfire erupted early on Thursday at the airport in Niger's capital, Niamey, several months after a major jihadist attack at the facility. In January, the capital's Diori Hamani International Airport was targeted in an unprecedented attack claimed by the Islamic State in the Sahel, EIS, and repelled by Nigerian armed forces and allied Russian fighters. Previously, jihadist violence in Niger had been contained to other parts of the country. Following the attack, thousands of illegally built homes were turned down in a sprawling neighborhood near the airport. And in sports, Cristiano Ronaldo's record equaling 6th World Cup got off to a disappointing start as the Democratic Republic of Congo secured their first ever point at the finals, drawing 1-1 with Portugal in their Group K match on Wednesday. Yohana Wissa's header cancelled out Joe Neves' early goal, and the African side appearing in their first World Cup since 1974, when it was known as Zaire, more than held their own. Ronaldo was largely a peripheral figure throughout the match, failing to make the impact his great rival Lionel Messi had done on Tuesday in scoring a hat-trick against Algeria. The DRC's achievement was even greater given their preparations had been disrupted by the Ebola outbreak back in their country. And Ghana scored a dramatic 1-0 victory over Panama in their opening World Cup Group L clash in Toronto on Wednesday. Caleb Urenki bundled in the winning goal in the 5th minute of stoppage time, sending thousands of Ghanaians in Canada's largest cities into a frenzy and settling an otherwise attritional battle. Both sides largely struggled to generate chances in the first half after Panama striker Cecilia Waterman's 2nd-minute attempt was cheered away by outstretched Ghana goalkeeper Lawrence Ati-Zigi. And this is a win for Africa. Well, finally in sport, Harry Kane scored twice in the first half as England eventually saw off Croatia 4-2 to launch their World Cup title assault in Texas on Wednesday. Jude Bellingham, immediately after halftime, and substitute Marcus Rashford with 5 minutes to go, ensured a winning start for Thomas Tuchel's side after Croatia had fought back to level at 2-2. The prolific Kane twice put England ahead in the first half, won a retaken penalty, only for Martin Baturina and Peter Musa to hit back for 2018 runners-up Croatia. With both sides shaky at the back, the second half of the threatened another goal glut, Bellingham needing just 2 minutes to put England ahead, again in front of a crowd of 70,000. Well, it's a wrap on the Midday News on .tv. Thank you for joining us. I am Ife Arono. Have a pleasant day.
of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. .tv News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
This is your station. This is Dot TV. Dot TV. Dot TV. Yeah. Dot TV. Yeah. Dot TV. Yeah. Dot TV.
.tv, the heart of the matter.